Planet Dolan.
From phallic doodles on tests to threats with a knife, the Planet Dolan crew reenacts some of the best true stories from our subreddit about more of the worst teachers we've ever had. My name is Nixxiom, and today I will be your narrator. Number 9 was submitted by Demon Slayer 64. Watch out, Hellbent. Honeybits had a teacher in 2nd grade who just snapped one day. Being clumsy, Honeybits dropped her pencil and got up to pick it up. As soon as she did, the teacher yelled, "Hey! Why are you standing?" Honeybits replied, "Well, I... The teacher interrupted with, "No, I've heard that excuse many times. You know what? I've had it!" She duct taped Honeybits to the desk so that she couldn't move, and then she duct taped her mouth so that she couldn't talk. Anybody caught trying to help her was also duct taped to their desk. Honeybits and the people who tried to help her were stuck like that for 2 hours, and when their parents called the school looking for them, the principal found them in the dark. Their teacher was arrested and served a 3-year sentence. Number 8 was submitted by Alex Fluffy Pants 5. When Slapped Ham was 8, he got a new English teacher. She would say words out loud, and then tell them to read the words on the paper. Slapped Ham was dyslexic, and so when the teacher asked him to read out the words, he couldn't. That was not only because he was dyslexic, but because it was a different language as he had come from Italy. He tried again and again until she started to scream at him, "Can't you read?" She called his parents and said, "Your son doesn't want to work." Slapped Ham's parents explained that he was dyslexic, and she did the same thing over and over and over until they finally left to go to Australia. Number 7 was submitted by KikiLyse. When Mimi was in 2nd grade, she had a teacher who was a capital butthole. When she was little, Mimi hated getting rid of things because she felt that objects were sentient and that they'd feel hurt and abandoned. One day, Big Butthole the Ice Witch asked the class to grab something out of their desks. She noticed that Mimi had 3 pencils that were sharpened almost down to the eraser and were completely unusable. In a fit of rage, Mimi's teacher flipped the desk over and dumped its contents out in front of the entire class. She then pointed at the supplies strewn across the floor and yelled at her to, quote, "Clean up this garbage." That same year, Mimi was diagnosed with chronic migraines. Her doctor wrote a note to the school stating that if she felt one coming on, she needed to go to the nurse's office to get 2 Tylenol. If the migraine wasn't already going full force, there'd be no problem returning to class. No matter how many times her parents and the principal talked to the teacher, she still wouldn't let Mimi get the pills. She spent most of the 2nd grade year suffering from migraines. Number 6 was submitted by TheGuyOnWhiteTux. The worst teacher that Dolan ever had was when he was in junior high. His teacher wouldn't care if his class got a low score. His corrections on the test were wrong, and if Dolan or his classmates said that he made a mistake, his only reply was, "Do I give a fuck about you? No? Right." The really horrible thing about him was that after they finished their tests, he vandalized all of the test papers by doodling dicks and stuff. He was a pervert to Dolan's female classmates, and one time he gave Dolan detention after he finished a project and handed it in just because he didn't think it was good enough. Fortunately, one of his classmates caught him smoking weed, and he was arrested and fired. Number 5 was submitted by GAPthatBoi. It was 7th grade, and Civil Spider wore a sweatshirt that was the same as another student. That student got a friend to grab his sweatshirt and start fake choking a kid with it. Somebody told the teacher that it was Civil Spider who told the student to choke the kid. The teacher grabbed Civil Spider's sweatshirt and started choking him, yelling, "Does this feel nice? Does this feel comfortable?" The principal came in, and the teacher ended up getting arrested. Number 4 was submitted by Jinja Ninja 96. M. Kyle M. had an art teacher in 3rd and 4th grade who was known to throw chairs at kids and even break their arms. M. Kyle M. thought that it would be fine and that he could handle it. One time her class had gotten back from recess and M. Kyle M.'s shoe somehow got untied, so he tied it as the teacher began her lessons. She noticed and yelled at him to go outside the room. When she came out to talk to him, she yelled, "What did you think you were doing?" M. Kyle M. replied,
"Tying my shoe. Why is that a problem?"
She yelled, "With that attitude, I think you deserve a weekend detention." He went home and told his parents, and the referral was removed. The teacher was later fired for throwing a chair at a kid. Number 3 was submitted by HB163 Hunter. When Sidious was in 7th grade, he had a substitute teacher who yelled at him for leaving class to get a drink of water. A few weeks later, the substitute came back. She yelled at Sidious again. She told him to go to the principal's office and, being confused, he asked, "Why?" Just then, she pulled out a 7-inch knife and told him to go to the principal's office for detention, or she would slit his throat. Sidious followed her commands and got suspended for a week. After leaving school, he told the principal that the substitute threatened him with a knife. She was fired and sent to jail for 40 years for attempted 2nd-degree murder and for being drunk. Number 2 was submitted by Simmerlife. The worst teacher that Legna ever had was a substitute who just hated kids. While he was working, a kid sneezed. She screamed at the kid and said that if he sneezed too loud again, he wouldn't get recess. Then, Legna asked his friend for help with his work, but she yelled at him. He went to ask her, but she told him to sit down. And a year later, she was fired. And number 1 was submitted by me. I've never really had a bad teacher, but man, when I was in college, I had one lazy English teacher. I remember we spent 3 weeks working on this 7-page essay, and I spent so long working on mine. I rewrote that thing so many times. I worked so hard on it, and you know what that teacher did? She was just like, you guys have all been working so hard, so you know what? Everybody gets an A. I was so angry, but I let it go. You know, whatever, who cares? But you know what? She did it again, and then she did it again. And then I came to the conclusion, this lady just doesn't want to grade papers. She's lazy, she's a piece of garbage, and I didn't like her. I was taking the class serious, and I was trying to learn, but she didn't care. The good news is from what I heard, she got fired. So that's good. That's good. Oh, right. So a huge thanks to the folks over at our Planet Dolan subreddit for submitting their stories. But we have another question for you. What is the laziest thing you have ever done? Let us know in the Reddit page linked below, and you might be featured in a future countdown.
This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys.
Until next time. See ya!